So our next talk is something that we've never done in person before. We've brought in a nutritionist because everything that you put in your body feeds it, and you need to decide whether you're going to feed it for good or feed the disease. And so we've asked Jessica Thomas to come speak. Jessica is a happy mom of 2 funny, energetic, and loving boys. She is deeply committed to helping women live their best life by taking care of their bodies and mind. She gets the challenge of balancing work, home, kids, and taking care of your own health at the same time. She has over 20 years experience as a trainer, helping women get stronger, gain confidence, achieve their specific goals, lose weight, and so much more. She's a personal trainer and a group exercise instructor at San Diego State University, as well as working at a private training center in La Jolla, California. In 2007, she founded Fit to Wed to help brides get in shape for their wedding. And most recently, she started Redefined, an online fitness and nutritional business from San Diego State University in 2005. She graduated from San Diego State University in 2005 with a degree in kinesiology with emphasis in health, fitness, and nutrition. She then became certified as a strength and conditioning specialist, CSCS, with the NSCA. And she also obtained her certification from the American College of Sports Medicine. She went to the Institute of Integrative Nutrition in New York to become a certified health coach. Jessica has been a fitness expert for stations like Fox 5 News, San Diego Living, The Knot, and San Diego Style magazine. She has successfully helped clients with a variety of health issues, like reversing and helping clients manage type 2 diabetes, lower cholesterol without medication, balance hormones, reduce and eliminate anxiety, depression, and getting autoimmune issues into remission through lifestyle, food as medicine, and fitness therapy. Jessica is passionate about helping women feel healthy, energized, and strong from the inside out. She strives to help you know just how good they can and deserve to feel. Thank you, Jessica.
Welcome to Nutrition, Help in Balancing Your Hormones. I want you just to check in with yourself right now. Just how are you feeling? I know it's been a long day. We've started early this morning, but just how are you feeling right now? And then I would like for you to go ahead and stand up. And if you could just stand up and spread your feet out a little bit wider than hip distance apart, so a wide stance. I want you to take your shoulders and roll them back and down and take your hands and place them on your hips right here. Take a really big, deep breath in your nose and exhale out. And now I want you to take your right hand, and just place it on top of your heart. You can move your feet together. You can open your eyes or close them, whatever you feel comfortable with. Placing your hand on your heart, I want you to take a really deep breath in your nose. And I want you to exhale out longer and slower. Just exhale everything out your mouth. One last time, a really big deep breath in your nose. Hold your breath for a second. Exhale out your mouth. And now I just want you to check in with yourself again. Does anybody feel any different? A little bit different? You guys can have a seat right here. What you did, and this sounds so silly, like this Superman pose right here, is actually something that boosts your testosterone level, which the doctor this morning talked a lot about. Low testosterone could be an issue. And I know that Jill also mentioned I do specialize in working with women, but testosterone being an issue, and also testosterone is very important for women. It's important for all of us because testosterone is what gives us motivation. And I think it's one of the reasons why men oftentimes can have an unfair advantage of weight loss, because testosterone helps to maintain lean muscle mass, and it also helps to be able to lose body fat, and just feel happy, feel motivated and happy. And so just our body position in what we do can change your hormones. And placing your hand on your heart, what it does is just boosting testosterone in a stance like that. Placing your hand over your heart actually releases a hormone called oxytocin, which you're probably maybe familiar with. Is called like the love hormone. But why this is so helpful is because oxytocin helps us to feel calm. So when you're, I want you guys just to be able to experience just in a short period of time, 2 minutes, or doing the breathing exercises in your hand on your heart, how it's like you can change your hormones, which is why I'm so excited to talk about today. Because I love this quote by Dr. Sarah Godfrey, that our hormones can either make you feel like crap or like a rock star ready to take on your mission, which you guys probably have experienced. But the key is getting your hormones to work with you and not against you, which is what I'm here to help you to do. In this presentation today, I'm going to show you how you can really restore balance by making holistic shifts to your diet and lifestyle. By the end of our time together, you're going to learn how you can make just simple changes to restore and maintain better metabolic function as well as hormonal balance, so that you really can enjoy more energy, more stable moods, reducing unpleasant symptoms, and also preventing some of these more serious health complications that come from acromegalia. So I know you're probably very familiar with just obviously the impact of hormones with what you're living with, but I do want to make sure that you have a really clear understanding. Sometimes I think we can say hormones and even name these different things, but not really understand exactly what's happening in your body. So hormones are key controllers that are really impacting every aspect of our health. They are chemical messengers that are they're communicating with all of your cells. So you have your different organs and glands that are sending out different messages. And the good news is your food affects your hormones, or bad news, depending on what you do. But your food is extremely powerful to change your hormones. What, when, how you're eating, that's telling your hormones what to do. And not just your food, which I'm going to share about today too, where it's like you could be doing these simple things in your life that can also be impacting your hormones, which I'm going to share about. And so we all want to have better balance. When our hormones are in balance, you're going to feel better, but imbalances are extremely common. At least 80% of people are dealing with hormonal imbalances, not just people with rare diseases like acromegalia, but most of the population. When you're having an imbalance, either you're not having either enough hormones or you're having excess. How your hormones work is you need to secrete, which just means you need to make them, right? Your body needs to produce them. So you need to have the building blocks, the precursors to make your hormones. And that comes through, I'm going to share with you in a minute, your food, but this is where your food is so important. You need the building blocks. And if you're not giving your body what it needs, it's not going to be secreting what it needs. And then we have to transport our hormones. We need to be able to move them to where we need to use them so they can be utilized. Things like sex hormone binding globulin, works like a taxi. He mentioned that this morning, but I'd like, do you guys know what that means? It's like a taxi that moves your hormones around, and you can increase it by working out. You want to be able to use the receptor site. So many times, as you saw, with your hormones, there's a receptor site, and then it comes in, and that like unlocks it, and then it does its magic, or lets, insulin comes in and unlocks, and glucose comes into the cell. So if that receptor site is blocked, well, you're going to have imbalances of excess. Estrogen is one of those. So for example, there's xenoestrogens in our environment, maybe from drinking out of plastic water bottles, that mimic estrogen, block the receptor, and now you end up with an excess of estrogen. Well, this is a problem when you're dealing with cancer. because estrogen causes growth. We know that. Estrogen causes the growth of a baby. Estrogen, very big for breast cancer prevention, is making sure that you are not dealing with this excess of estrogen that, again, causes growth. So we want to make sure your receptor sites aren't blocked. And then you want elimination. So when you're dealing with excess hormones, you need to be able to also, like I mentioned, even with estrogen, being able to eliminate, you use your hormones and you need to be able to eliminate them out in a healthy way. So when any of those aren't working, you can really see how easily you can be experiencing hormonal imbalances. And this is oftentimes the underlying root cause to many, many mental health problems, blood sugar for issues, thyroid problems, fertility, or aches and pains. But the building blocks to your hormones, to make all of your hormones, you need fatty acids and amino acids. So that just means we need fat and protein. Protein is basically made up of amino acids. Fatty acids would be coming from healthy fat. We need these to be able to make our hormones that help us to feel good. And thankfully, imbalances are correctable. But I understand if you're feeling tired. You know what, when we don't have any energy, I think it's really hard to be able to work out, right? Or even put in the effort to prepare healthy food, go to the store, prepare healthy meals. Like when you're tired, it's just can make it a lot more challenging. I understand that. If you're in pain, it can make it a lot harder. And if you're trying to eat healthy, but you're hungry all the time and you're just ravenous, or you just have a really big appetite and you're just hungry, I think that can also be an added challenge to, with a desire to eat healthier. If you're experiencing a lot of cravings for carbohydrates and for sugar, I think that can be a really big challenge when you're trying to, we know that we have to eat healthy in order to be healthy, but I understand if you're feeling this way, those challenges, and also just feeling like it's too hard and too overwhelming and too complicated, like a victim, and maybe you've tried to change, right? Maybe you've even tried to change how you're eating, but it's like you haven't experienced maybe the results that you hoped for. Or if you see that girl at the bottom where it's like she's just staring at the food, sometimes we can try different methods of eating healthy or different diets, but they can backfire on us by making us focus on food and actually making us more hungry. Maybe not the best way to approach it. And also, if you're already dealing with something where you have your doctor's appointments and trying to manage your life with this, that then taking on trying to make, changes to eating healthier can be very overwhelming. And I think it can be very complicated in general with just the conflicting information we often hear regarding food and, okay, are carbs good? Are they bad? Like just all the different dietary theories out there. I think that it can be very complicated and can lead to a lot of feelings of overwhelm on top of dealing with something like acromegalia, your insulin level and IGF-1 and, everything that's going on with your body already. I think I understand if it's overwhelming and confusing with, okay, well, what do I even eat? And if maybe you're feeling hopeless, out of control, and frustrated and discouraged with what you're living with. So it is such an honor and privilege to be able to be here, to be able to share this information with you. She mentioned really quickly, again, just my certifications, but I also I'm a certified drugless practitioner. So what I do is I use food as medicine, exercise as medicine, and also appropriate supplementation to help my clients achieve optimal health and well-being. And I'm also a certified hormone specialist. But I want to share a little bit about my personal experience and also some of my clinical experience with helping people. I live in Southern California. We live on a lake. I love wakeboarding, wake surfing, all the water sports. And I was out trying to clear the wakeboarding, and I fell. And I was determined to get back up and try to do it again. And I was not even close. But I was like, I gotta go out. I gotta do it again. And I just go back out wakeboarding. I fall again, trying to clear the wake. I hit my head really bad and ended up with a brain injury. And I had a really bad concussion for 3 months. I was in bed, and the migraines, oh my goodness, it was just the sweating. I had insomnia, and I'm a very active person, and I could barely have the energy to walk around the block. It actually triggered social anxiety. But I'm sharing this only because although I don't have acromegalia or know what it's like in your everyday life of living with this short experience that I had of really being able to understand how important your hypothalamus and your pituitary gland really is in regulating so many functions. I mean, it's the master command center is your hypothalamus and then your pituitary gland, the hormones that it's secreting. It allowed me to experience how important this is, how important this hormone is, and experience this disruption and how my hypothalamus and pituitary gland were not functioning optimally, and all of the cascading effect of symptoms that came allows me to have a little bit better understanding of just how important it is that we really help, just how important the pituitary is, and just greater understanding of some of the symptoms and how you may be feeling very out of control with this area of secreting extra things like growth hormone and the impacts it's having on other hormones as well. Also, when I wanted to start a family, I dealt with infertility, and the doctor said that I would not be able to have kids. I would have to do in vitro. And at that time, I was diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS, and I want to share this because this is a metabolic dysfunction, which is very common with what you're dealing with as well. And so what was good about getting the diagnosis was then it's like, okay, well, now I know what to do. I'm going to fix the insulin. Insulin resistance is oftentimes the root cause of that. PCOS is kind of like little cysts on your ovaries. It's almost sometimes labeled as like diabetes of the ovaries, essentially. And so I was like, okay, I thought I was living a healthy lifestyle and doing all the right things, but it wasn't right for my body. And knowing once I got a diagnosis, I was like, oh gosh, yes, I'm going to fix it. Thankfully, I then was able to change my lifestyle, even how I was working out and also how I was eating, and then go back and do an ultrasound, and I fixed it, and go back and do my labs, and was able just through changing diet and lifestyle to be able to reverse it and be able to conceive naturally without IVF. And then also just client testimonials. So just this last week, it's like, typically what I'll do is I'll test my clients' labs, and then I'll wait like 6 to 8 weeks before I retest, give it enough time to really make sure their protocol's working for them. And but recently I had a client redo her labs just in 4 weeks, but I don't normally test that soon with her hemoglobin A1C. And in just 4 weeks, it went from like a 6.0 to a 5.0. Just through getting back to just back to her workouts, back to changing her eating. She's diagnosed with diabetic. This is one of my diabetic clients, and I want to share that just because how powerful and how quickly things can change too when you start to really make these small changes in how powerful our food can be. To do that. Also, 6 weeks, many times when I have clients with just high cholesterol levels, in just 6 weeks, you can bring them back down to optimal levels. Even having a client with MS, not able to get out of bed and being able to make these changes and being able to live a more normal life, not stuck in bed. So just a few that this really works. So I'm hopeful that today I want you to come away feeling more hopeful, motivated, inspired, confident, feeling really competent and optimistic, and hopefully with more clarity on what action steps that you can do, and most importantly, feeling really empowered. So instead of focusing on what we can't control, like what the last speaker shared, which can be very disempowering, we are going to focus on what we can control and really take back your health. And the good news is there's so much in your control. Obviously, the things like what Catherine shared about our attitude, our perspective, but our actions, your habits, what you eat, how you move, and your lifestyle choices that you make, and then also your other hormones that are still working in your body that we can really be able to control those. I also want to emphasize the importance of not demonizing our hormones. I think it can be very easy because we can many times associate hormones with the negative effects that they have. But what I want is for you to learn what and how some of these key hormones work in your body. And I think when we have a greater understanding of how they work, it can really eliminate a lot of frustration and, most importantly, equip you with knowing what you can do. And how we can really use some of these really positive hormones to help us feel better. And it's really important, again, to know your lifestyle choices can really destroy or restore hormonal balance for both your brain and your body. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start by talking about insulin, which is the master hormone. We have to start there, and I will explain why. I want to talk about insulin resistance and how to reverse that, food as medicine, simple lifestyle changes that you can make, supportive supplements, buffering, and also a bonus that I want to talk about specifically how you can use natural ways to increase somatostatin and also dopamine. And then I can't wait for the live Q&A, as one of my favorite things is being able to answer your questions. So if you have any questions while I'm talking, please take notes, write it down, because I want to be able to answer those for you. So it's important that we talk about insulin because it is this master hormone in everybody's body. So it's more important for you living with acromegalia, but it's important for everybody. And balanced blood sugar is essential to balancing hormones. So I help women balance their hormones. I don't even run a hormonal panel until I look at, well, what's happening with your other lab values and other lifestyle choices, that we get the basics under control. We always start with this. Is balancing your blood sugar, because many times when you balance your blood sugar and you fill in the nutritional deficiencies, then many times other imbalances will just correct. But sometimes if your blood sugar is not regulated, it can just feel like this roller coaster ride. And how do you know if you need to get off this blood sugar roller coaster ride? You may experience some of these symptoms. So when you're hungry, instead of just a hunger that like builds in your gut, like you just feel physically hungry below the neck, you could feel maybe hangry, very irritable, upset, and angry when you need to eat. Frequently waking up in the night, having to use the bathroom in the night. And this is something that I know I'm going to address sleep, because it's so, I know sleep can be disrupted with acromegalia, and also it's a very key to regulating your hormones. But sometimes what can be happening is, if, let's say at the end of the day, you just want a glass of wine to unwind, or just something sweet, some dessert after dinner, and you're eating something high in glucose or high in sugar after dinner, well, your kidneys are going to excrete that in the night, and it could be waking you up to go to the bathroom. Many times I've been able to just, so my clients having problems waking up to go to the bathroom in the night, it's like, okay, cutting out the sweets in the evening and not having that sugar before bed can be very helpful. But you have a really hard time losing weight, and trouble concentrating and staying focused. I've had many clients even just, really it's impacting their ability to work because something's not right. It's like I can't even concentrate. Thirsty, frequent urination, headaches, which I'm going to talk more about. A long time to heal from bruises and cuts. You just feel tired and sluggish and just fatigued, and maybe experiencing blurred vision. So I want to mention, I know that, the vision can be impaired, like you were able to see on those slides earlier with a tumor, but there's, that fact, we just, obviously, what I'm trying to say is, There's also other factors that could be impacting your vision, not the impaired vision with the tumor, but just if you're experiencing blurred vision or a lack of losing your ability to see at night and to drive. Sometimes that's a lack of vitamin A. You fill in your vitamin A and it's like you'll get your night vision back. And blurry vision can absolutely be linked to high blood sugar. I love this chart right here because I think it shows a really good visual of what is happening when it's too high. So if you look at the top of the chart, when your blood sugar is too high, this happens when we eat too many calories or too many carbs per meal, and it spikes your blood sugar. Now, what's going to happen is it causes our body to store body fat. Then I want you to look at the bottom of the chart. So look at the bottom where it says low blood sugar. When your blood sugar drops, this can happen when you're skipping a meal, restricted calories or carbs, exercising on an empty stomach. So I'm going to address this more, especially because we know the benefits of even just more of just fasting and maybe a ketogenic diet for helping to regulate your blood sugar, but I want to address how to do that in a smart way to not create further hormonal and also metabolic problems. But when your blood sugar is dropping like this is when your body's going to be burning lean muscle mass, which is your powerhouse. You need lean muscle mass. We need to hold on to it. Everything we need to do to hold on to your muscle. And it's going to cause your body to hold on to body fat. And your energy will crash. So this is, again, why we call it a roller. It's like you're crashing. Your blood sugar is crashing. And this is where cravings come from. So if you are experiencing cravings, this is one of the major contributors to cravings. Sometimes I feel like people, if you've lived with them, well, okay, personally, I always thought they were just normal, like everybody had this, until I figured, oh, it's not. You stabilize your blood sugar. Many times you can just get rid of those cravings. Another thing I want to add to the low blood sugar is anxiety. Can be triggered with the low blood sugar as well. And then I want you to look at the middle now. Stable blood sugar is what I'm going to help you with right now in today's message, because this is when your body is going to release body fat. It protects your lean muscle mass. It eliminates cravings, and it is vital for having energy and feeling good. So to help you stabilize this, we want to talk about the hormone insulin. Insulin allows glucose to enter into the cell. So it's involved in every single process of your body. Every single cell has an insulin receptor, which is why you experience so many of those symptoms when it's out of balance. It's telling your body what to do with the energy too. When you eat, it's telling you, okay, are you going to burn it as body fat, or are you going to store it? Do we need to store this, or do we need to burn this as energy? And again, another plug for exercise, because it actually helps your body to say, hey, let's use this as energy and not store it. Insulin also increases IGF-1, which is why I'm covering this for you today. And you guys already know this, but acromegalia is characterized by chronic overproduction of growth hormone that leads to insulin resistance, glucose resistance, glucose intolerance, and ultimately diabetes. And so if you're dealing with that, I'm going to give you hopefully help you with things that you can do, but also if you're not there yet, and I want to prevent this, is what I'm trying to say, from this leading to more serious or more further complications. And so, yeah, well, it's up to Jill. He wants to ask a question. Is that okay? Yes, go ahead. Or do we want to hold it till the end? I'm happy to answer it, or happy to wait. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, obviously many of us have depression and issues which drive bad eating, which can spike insulin. I just want to know if there's any ways to track IGF-1 rising because of non-growth hormone tumor-related issues.
Yes, excellent. I'm actually going to talk about that. I'm going to, absolutely, because it doesn't matter, and that's kind of the end of my message, too, of how you actually do this, because it doesn't matter. I can be up here and telling you, everybody knows we need to eat vegetables. I mean, that's not... We all know that, right? We know we need to eat healthy, but it's hard when, you don't, or especially when you're depressed. It's hard. right? I get that. I get it. And so I'm going to talk about that at the end. And if I don't, come back up and make sure that I address that for you. So let's talk about insulin resistance. But I do want to say this. I'm going to tell you how to help with the depression. So let's keep going. But I will address those things, and I want you to know that I understand. I get it. And I want to be able to show you what you can do. So next, I want to talk about insulin resistance. So insulin resistance, a lot of these signs and symptoms are the same as blood sugar imbalances, but I want to address both because I want you to understand what highs and lows with your blood sugar are. And you heard that from the doctor this morning, saying you have to regulate your glucose. Well, how do you do that? And what does that look like? I want you to understand and remember that chart of like, okay, this is what it is when my blood sugar is out of balance. But many times it's out of balance because you may be dealing with this insulin resistance. And so if you have a lot of symptoms, some of the symptoms are the same. I'll highlight a little bit of the different ones, like acne, skin tags are a big one that I look at for my clients, skin pigmentation changes, estrogen and testosterone dominance. Feeling tired after you eat is a good one to look for. Craving sweets after meals, and you have something sweet, but it doesn't do anything for you. It doesn't eliminate that sweet craving for you. You may feel bloated after eating, again, higher percentage of body fat, thirsty, hair loss, mood swings, and menstrual irregularities and fatigue. So if you look over here, this is a very basic one. So I actually wish it had the little receptor thing on the cell, but I wanted it to just be very basic for you to kind of have a visual to understand where it says normal. This is normally you eat, you raise glucose, it's just sugar in your blood, and you want to have glucose in the cell. That's going to give you energy, and you want to have it in your bloodstream. We just don't want it to be too high or too low. And also, I don't want to demonize insulin. Insulin's known as the fat storage hormone, but we can see it plays a vital role. We just want appropriate amounts. We just want our body to work optimally how it's supposed to. And so this is kind of how you want it to be. But what can happen is insulin resistance can happen in different ways. So the first one, you can see there's a lot of glucose in your bloodstream, and there's not enough in the cell. Well, you're going to feel tired. You need this for energy. And look at the second one. Kind of have a lot of glucose in the cell, and you also have a lot in your bloodstream. So you can have a problem with the receptor site of not letting insulin in, and you can also be having a problem with the receptor site. It just doesn't open. It's like there is too much sugar in your blood. You can't come in. We're full. With the cell. So this is why it becomes really important with how you're eating, that we're not eating too many carbohydrates or eating too much food at one time or too much refined sugar and carbohydrates that are going to spike our blood sugar and then, be creating where this resistance, you're overstimulating it over time. It's like, we're done, but you can reverse this. You can help your body become more sensitive to insulin, which is what we want to do. And when you experience balanced blood sugar, why this is so important to learn how to do this is because you'll be able to eat and you can stay satisfied for several hours. You will feel physically hungry, but you won't be like hangry. Your family will thank you for that. More stable moods, more stable energy. It improves sleep. Mental focus, you can recover well, and able to lose weight. So I want to talk about headaches in this connection with insulin resistance and your blood sugar imbalance. And again, I understand that if the tumor is causing the headaches, then that's out of your control. But let's just make sure we're not doing anything else that is triggering headaches that's not from a tumor. So insulin resistance is strongly associated with migraines. I had a client dealing with headaches every single day for 10 years. I'm not kidding, a decade. And then we just got rid of them. And many clients of mine that have regular headaches. And how we did it was, one, removing food sensitivities, but also balancing her blood sugar. insulin receptors are abundant in your brain. They even call Alzheimer's, sometimes they say it's like diabetes of the brain. So there's something called alpha-lipoic acid. This is what I use to help my clients with nerve damage, so I know that could be a problem if you have neuropathy. Alpha-lipoic acid is really great for helping with nerve damage, but also for insulin. This was a research study that used alpha-lipoic acid for insulin-resistant migraine sufferers, and it reduced headaches. So I use something I'm going to share a little bit later called berberine for my diabetic clients that Designs for Health has berberine synergy, and it has alpha-lipoic acid in it with berberine, and it works very similar if you've heard of the drug metformin. It helps with your ability to be able to regulate your blood sugar. So we can add in additional support for this as well. But just another benefit to balancing your blood sugar is that it can reduce headaches. And also cancer. So tumors feed off sugar. So one of the best things when dealing and also for prevention of cancer is to reduce the amount of sugar that we're eating. So cancers use 200 times the amount of glucose, and it just is fuel for them. You're feeding it with sugar feeds cancer cells. I just can't emphasize that enough. IGF-1 also stimulates the growth. It stimulates growth of cancer cells. Growth hormone is also triggering the IGF-1, so you're just again, another benefit to being able to balance your blood sugar and help your body become more sensitive to insulin can really help to prevent and also, prevent many things like headaches and also the cancer cells from proliferating. One thing about, I'll say this, I use different compounds. So ginger, if you guys don't do this already, I highly recommend everybody get powdered ginger has compounds that help kill cancer stem cells. And so it's really important. I would love to do, there's you could just add it to your water with lemon, do a ginger lemonade. Adding ginger powder is actually more powerful. There's other things that I'm going to share about too that can really help with making sure that the cancer is not continuing to proliferate and grow. So what causes blood sugar imbalances? Eating too much at one time, eating past the point of fullness, eating too many carbs without enough fat and protein. So carbs are not bad. They're not. We need all of the macronutrients are, carbs, fat, protein. We need them all. But it's just how much and how and when we're eating that can really make a big difference. For example, I don't recommend don't eat a carb alone, because that will spike your blood sugar. Are you guys familiar? Have you guys ever seen that this was a long time ago. I think it was on the cover of Time magazine that had a piece of wheat bread versus the Snickers bar. Do you guys remember that study? And it said the Snickers bar is better than the piece of whole wheat bread. The reason why is the whole wheat bread doesn't have any fiber or fat to slow down it raising your blood glucose. Where a Snickers bar, if you're gonna choose a candy bar, grab one that has a little protein and fat in it, right? Like the Snickers, it didn't impact their blood sugar as much. And so that's kind of this concept is okay, well, when you have, let's say if you're having, you just want to combine the fat and protein, it's going to slow down the release of sugar into your system. And this doesn't mean I'm not going to be a killjoy of okay, you can never have any sweets, but we can be smart about it. So let's say you are going to have dessert. You want to try to have it within 30 minutes after a meal. A complete meal, meaning you have fat and protein in that meal. Same thing with, you guys are probably familiar with, if you, alcohol, if you were to have, an alcoholic beverage, well, having it on an empty stomach is gonna affect you so much more, and you'll probably increase your appetite as well, in comparison to having some type of healthy fat and protein. Maybe you have that handful of nuts, have a little appetizer, fat and protein before you have alcohol, well, it's not gonna spike it as much. Here's another thing you can do is drinking lemon water before you eat prevents the spike. This was so funny too. I'm always sharing this, and then one of my clients with her diabetic clients that has a glucose monitor, she called me on the phone right afterwards. She's like, "Oh my gosh, this works!" this totally works because she was measuring. Do you guys ever measure? Anybody have a glucose monitor where you are measuring? But it just gave her that immediate feedback, like, oh wow, this actually does work. And that's just one tip that you could do to be able to make sure that you're preventing the spikes. And again, also avoiding refined carbohydrates and sugar is important. And so thankfully, there's so many good things out there too. Like I love Lily's dark chocolate where you can still enjoy, I love chocolate, but it's sweetened with stevia, so it doesn't spike your blood sugar. Or there's things like Evolved that now is made with coconut sugar instead. So many times you can enjoy some of these sweet treats without having it really disrupt your blood sugar, leading to some of those unpleasant symptoms. And then also eating in a way with not kind of past the point of fullness. And this kind of goes really good where I love that she talked about the benefits of mindfulness, right? So what I recommend doing, and I should have included this, but there's a chart that I recommend using. It's a hunger chart of scale from 1 to 10. So imagine just 1 to 10, you want to stay within a 3 to 7. So you're eating when you're hungry, you're stopping when the hunger goes away. So when you're satisfied. Today, anybody who was at lunch with me, I was like, they kept trying to take my plate. I'm like, no, I want to keep it. I want to keep it because I was like, am I going to go back? Am I going to eat more? I don't know. You kind of just wait. But what you want to do is just be that slowing down to eat and being mindful can really help. So you're staying in the middle instead of swinging. Many times it could be restrictive, okay, maybe you're trying to lose weight, and so you really restrict and you're just not eating enough, or you're waiting a long period of time and then you eat, and it's very easy to just overeat. And this yo-yo back and forth. And to stop that, we want to focus on staying in the middle. And this becomes very important later with regulating ghrelin that I'm going to talk about. Also, blood sugar imbalances can be really caused by a sedentary lifestyle, so just moving is important. Stress really plays a huge role. I mean, stress can increase. Well, what I'm trying to say is sometimes it's not just the food. It's like you could be eating. It's like, how's my blood sugar still off? But your mental and emotional stress is also raising your blood sugar levels. And so being able to have methods to cope with that, which I'll share later, is really important. And lack of sleep, I'm gonna cover in a minute as well. Going too long without eating. So food as medicine, we want to eat to be able to maintain insulin sensitivity and also reverse insulin resistance. So again, what, when, and how you're eating all matters. We want real whole foods. This becomes extremely important because they're going to have those building blocks of amino acids and fatty acids to, the building blocks, and then also for something really important, CCK that I'm going to talk about later. But you want to be giving your body what it needs to feel good. And so eating a lot of really whole, healthy foods, avoiding the processed packaged foods. When we're eating really matters, the timing of it, and also how we're eating. So what I recommend doing for breakfast is wait until you're hungry. So if you're confused, do I have breakfast? Do I not have breakfast? I know fasting is really popular right now, but what I recommend you do is you wait until you feel physically hungry, and then you have your first meal of the day, something that's going to be higher in protein, higher in fat, lower in carbohydrates. And I'll give you some examples, but I want you to think about, have you ever had a bowl of cereal or a bagel for breakfast and just found that you're hungrier throughout the day? Or have cravings? And then have you ever had a higher protein breakfast, maybe eggs and some vegetables and avocado, and experienced, wow, I'm not hungry. I don't have any cravings later on. What you eat for breakfast is going to impact your appetite and your cravings for the rest of the day. So this becomes really important. And what you want to do is get in, again, the fat and the protein that's going to help you to stay satisfied, keep your blood sugar stable from the beginning, lower in carbohydrates to keep your energy level up. I love doing a protein shake for breakfast. I do, Designs for Health has a meal replacement shake, or their pea protein. A shake is easy because it's convenient, getting ready to go to work or getting my kids ready for school. So I love to do that, something that's going to be higher in protein. A shake is very convenient. I'm going to give you access to Redefined, where you're going to have my hormone balancing smoothie guidebook in the food module that you'll be able to print out with all hormone balancing. Don't just have any smoothie that like has loaded with sugar. You want to make sure it's balanced with fat and protein. And I think smoothies are a great way when you're tired and you don't feel good and you don't want to put in any effort, right? It's just throw it in the blender. You don't even sometimes have to throw it in the blender if you have the meal replacement. I just shake up in a blender in a little shaker container, and it's very easy to get what your body needs. Next, or also doing eggs. I'm a big fan of eggs, especially because I know thyroid problems can be an issue, and so doing runny egg yolks are very beneficial. They have selenium, which many times we are lacking in these micronutrients. That's very important for your thyroid to function optimally. So add a Brazil nut to your shake. That'll have selenium and be good for thyroid protection and optimization. And also, those adding eggs, and then add in vegetables. So every meal you want to add in vegetables. So can you saute just spinach? Literally, I can make this in like 1 minute. Just get a little pan. I put some coconut oil so I have healthy fat. I saute the spinach. I add a ton of pink salt. I know we had some concerns and questions about adrenal insufficiency and adrenal issues. The minerals in the salt is extremely important for your adrenal glands. And so adding in the pink salt and sauteing the spinach, so you have the magnesium and you have and then whisk 2 eggs so it has more protein and fat. Do the whole egg, saute it in that cast iron skillet so you get the omelet. And then just enjoy it. Have it with some avocado. You can do a variety of different things. You're going to have in the food module is going to be breakfast redefined. There's all kinds of breakfast ideas for you in there. Now lunch, I recommend doing high protein, moderate fat, and lower carb too. Because have you ever experienced where you have a sandwich for lunch and you feel like you want to take a nap afterwards, like more tired? So lunch. But then also the opposite. Has anybody also had a salad and you're like, this is not cutting it? Like, you are hungry. Like, if you are eating and after you eat, you feel like something's missing, like you want to eat again, not for emotional reasons, but just like, you're just like, something's missing. You know that feeling. Something's missing, right? So sometimes with my salad, it's like, okay, well, if I can add in just some crushed up Mary's crackers for something crunchy, or I love Sayete chips. They're grain-free chips made with cassava flour. I crush them up, but I'll add something crunchy in there, or a 1/4 cup of brown rice. So if I can add that to my salad in addition to the avocado, the healthy fat, and some grilled chicken or some salmon, some type of protein, now that's a meal, right? Now I'm able to enjoy a salad that is going to make me feel light and energized. So I want you to think after you eat, you want to feel light and energized, right? Not heavy and tired. But you also don't want to be hungry shortly after either. So this is where it's really important that you're adding in these balanced meals, balances your hormones, balances your blood sugar, and getting enough of that. And your needs may be different, right? If you are working out, well, then making sure that you're getting an adequate protein. Many times, especially for women, if you are not getting enough protein in, I guarantee you probably are really hungry and probably have cravings for sugar. And sometimes that one thing alone of just getting adequate protein in, and it's like, you're satisfied. And the cravings go away. And then it's easier to eat healthier. And so, make sure, I see this as a very common problem that people aren't getting enough protein in. And then should you snack or not snack? And then speaking of salads, because I want you to get in the leafy greens every day, at least 2 cups of leafy greens. Make you feel light and energized. They're magical. And so there's something called Salad School that you'll have access to, and you can print out all these simple, really good ways to add healthy salads, homemade salad dressing recipes. And if you don't like salads, I share other ways to get in greens. You can add it into a wrap or other ways. Now I want to move into, should you snack or not snack? Well, I don't want you following a diet or a rule I want you to have guardrails so you don't go off the edge, right? Like, let's just have these healthy guardrails, but everybody is we all have something called bioindividuality. Like, you are different than you, than me. I mean, our needs are going to be different than somebody if you're sitting at a sedentary desk job, or you're a busy mom chasing your kids, or, different things in our bodies. We're all different. So what I'm trying to say is, I don't want you following like somebody else's diet. What I want you to do is find the best way of eating for you and for your body, but we want to take these things that we know work, and that we know how to be able to create this where we feel good. So as far as snacking, you just don't want to be snacking all day, where it's like you're, again, spiking insulin all day long. Your blood sugars all day long is high. But sometimes I think you may need a snack. And so I recommend a snack is also a smart snack, again, with fat, protein, and fiber. So it looks like maybe you have a green apple. That's great. Somebody asked about liver function. Green apples are great. They have malic acid in it that helps with your gallbladder and liver function. So maybe you have a green apple, lower in sugar than a red apple. You add cinnamon. Cinnamon helps your insulin receptors. It helps you to balance your blood sugar and your body to be more insulin sensitive. So add in Ceylon cinnamon, at least 1 to 2 teaspoons a day is what I recommend. But sprinkle it on your apple, and maybe you have a handful of nuts and seeds, a handful of walnuts, and maybe some raw cashews. So that would be a balanced snack, or some veggies and dip, but not just that. You add maybe a turkey burger with it, so you also get the protein. So go to the fridge and freezer before you ever open a package or go to the pantry. And then just be mindful of smart snacking. And then dinner, you want to have protein, fat, and also a slow carb. So the reason why I recommend this is because and what is a slow carb? You guys know? It's like the sweet potato, the brown rice. Just think like real foods, root vegetables, and think wet carbs are different. So wet carbs are like that have water in it, right? Like brown rice is totally different than like a dried out cracker. I recommend this because it helps you sleep. Well, just like I mentioned at lunch, it's like, have you ever had a sandwich, you want to take a nap afterwards? Well, that carbs can make us sleepy, right? And so, but this is like a slow carb, so you're still not spiking your blood sugar, but yet you're gonna have the benefits of being able to sleep better. And why I care about this too is because sometimes if you're doing too low carb, especially because we know the benefits of maybe following a ketogenic diet with living with acromegalia, but what my concern is that many things. Number one is that you don't want to be creating problems with your gallbladder and your liver function due to such high fat and high protein. Such high fat and protein can also be causing problems with constipation and just too low of carbohydrates. Sometimes even that can raise your cortisol levels. And also, sometimes not getting enough carbohydrates can really trigger anxiety. So I recommend following this as kind of a guide for you to be able to have both. The benefits of being able to balance your blood sugar, reduce cravings, keep your energy up, but also protecting your thyroid and your other organs and glands as well. So getting that slow, low carb at night can really help with being able to sleep and also not creating more stress in your body. What I recommend is there's this app that got the 8 app, and it's really good for creating that accountability and also being able to connect your food with how it's making you feel. So one thing that I highly recommend is please don't ever connect like your food with like trying to lose weight. Let's just not do that. And even exercise. Don't exercise to lose weight. I don't recommend like, okay, I'm eating healthy because I want to lose weight. It's okay if you want that. It's okay if you want that. But what I find is the most effective is to connect your food with how it's making you feel, because you're gonna get immediate benefits with that, and then it's gonna help with retention, and it's gonna help when you don't feel like it, right? I don't feel like it, but it's like, oh yeah, but I remember when I eat this way, I feel better. And weight loss will be a byproduct later from that, but that's not your whole focus. So I really want you to be able to make this connection between what you're eating and how you're feeling. And using this app, it's easy. You just take a picture of it. If you join through mine, I can actually see it, so it creates accountability. That way you can join with other people, and it just can be more motivating to be able to make that connection. You can mark how you're feeling, like your moods and emotions, emotions, and also any other symptoms that you may be having. And so the 8 app can be extremely beneficial for creating that accountability to be able to make these changes and see the connection with, oh my gosh, when I eat this way, oh yeah, I actually do notice the brain fog gets better. Or, wow, when I eat this way, I feel really tired. You want to be able to make those connections with what you're eating and how it's making you feel. And again, protein and fat are extremely beneficial because they don't spike your blood sugar. They slow the release of glucose to avoid the spike. They are the building blocks that you need, and they also signal something called CCK. You guys know what that is? It's like, so what can be happening is that you guys already know when your pituitary is impacted, well, it's, right? That's why you have an increase in your appetite. Most likely, you guys, if you're experiencing this. So what I'm trying to say is, if your pituitary gland is not functioning optimally, we want to rely on these other symptoms that are going to help you and step in. So CCK is produced, it's a hormone produced in your gut, and it's triggered when you eat fat and protein. So this is why many times if we're eating processed foods, especially processed foods that have like these chemicals in it that are impacting your ability to, your body doesn't get the signal. So it's very easy to overeat. It's just so easy to just overeat on those processed foods because you're not having a signal in your body to say your signal satiety to stop eating. But when you can eat the fat and protein, that will signal it in your gut, oh, satiety. You can get this through avocado is one of my favorite because it's very high in fiber as well. Coconut oil, nuts and seeds, free range eggs. Turkey I love because it has tryptophan, which is a precursor to it's really essential to your serotonin and your moods and emotions. Very high in B6, which I'm going to talk about the benefits of that in a minute. Wild fish, chicken, grass-fed beef. I like Butcher Box for quality meat. Next, I want to talk about the importance of fiber. So fiber removes excess hormones. And this is what I used when I was talking about excess estrogen. Well, you need to have enough fiber. Many times we're not getting enough. We need at least 35 grams of fiber, and we're just not. And especially if you're trying to really watch your glucose and your insulin levels, then maybe you're even cutting out many fruits and vegetables. But I want you to get your fiber, is what I'm saying, through your fruits and vegetables, because then you have the antioxidants, the vitamins and minerals that you need. And this is where it's important for you with acromegalia, is because fiber is going to stretch your stomach. And when it's stretched, that is going to stop ghrelin. So you need to have that filling too. I mean, because if you guys ever just had maybe you have a hard-boiled egg and it's like, well, that's also not enough, right? You have the fat and the protein, but you're missing the fiber. We'll add in the handful of blueberries and strawberries, and you'll probably stay satisfied longer. And this is important, again, because ghrelin stimulates the release of growth hormone from the pituitary gland. So this is another reason why I don't recommend you going such long periods of time with not eating as well, but we don't want to be overdoing it. You're trying to find that good balance of, okay, you're eating when you're hungry, you have a period of time till you feel physically hungry again before you eat. So that way you're not signaling ghrelin is not triggered all the time. Okay. Next is just living a healthy lifestyle that you love and enjoy. So we all know it's not just food. I have to mention sleep, just because sleep is just 1 to 4 nights of sleep can really cause insulin resistance. Some things, simple things. One more thing is that research always shows 7 hours of sleep. People who get less than 7 can eat 300 or 400 calories more per day. And you can do simple things like wearing an eye mask. I'm a big fan of Dr. Ron's Mag Max. Working out in the morning is really great for having a good night's sleep, is one of the best sleep aids. You'll have access, I'm gonna give you a code to my sleep guidebook. That gives all my recommendations, how to eat, what to do, what temperature your room should be at. There's an audio coaching and a guidebook you can print out, just to make sure you're doing everything that you can to be able to fall asleep, stay asleep, wake up feeling more rested. This is one of my clients, Erin, said, within a few weeks, I started sleeping more deeply, experiencing more joy, as if a thin layer of fog had been lifted. And I want you to experience that too. So you can use that coupon code HEALTH with the website to be able to get access to that. But another thing is you want to be able to regulate we want to use other things. Like I mentioned, okay, we're going to let's call on our stomach to activate these to signal satiety. You could really use UV light, plays a major role in regulating our appetite and also our sleep. So I encourage you to, first thing in the morning, if you get outside and you look up at the blue sky, it'll stop melatonin from producing. The eye mask I recommend because the darkness causes your body to produce more melatonin at night. And after 50, you stop producing as much melatonin. So it becomes more important. Next, I want to talk about stress. Cortisol and epinephrine, these are insulin antagonists. So stress becomes a major role. I love what Catherine said about let's not demonize stress, let's use it to help us. But it's important to know the impact it's having on your body, that cortisol elevates your blood glucose, and then insulin is having to work harder and be higher. And so this is just also psychological stress. Again, what you are thinking can change it. And even I love, so just really some things that I recommend for helping with stress would be using a day one journal. Do you guys journal? Anybody journal? Not I highly recommend, Day One is an app you can just get on your phone. I highly recommend just every single day, write out 5 things you're grateful for. We know that's linked to happiness, but journal it, dump your feelings out. I can't emphasize enough how much this impacts because we know our mental and emotional health are absolutely impacting your physical health. And so we need to be able to have ways to be able to cope with stress better and be able to release it through exercise, how we're eating. I'm a big fan of adaptogens to help cope with stress, things like rhodiola, ashwagandha. These are natural ways that you can really be able to help your body cope better with stress. So I even use something called a cortisol manager, which helps with your hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal gland access to be able to give your body what it needs to cope when you're going through something hard. Also relationships, which I like what she said, they make us healthier. And again, love that you guys are here. This is vital. There's a loneliness epidemic, and that we know that leads to so many more health problems. And I love some of the studies that look at really, really unhealthy groups, that they should really be plagued with a lot of different diseases, but they're not, because they have a close community of people around them. And so I love that you guys are here and the work that Jill has done to create and build a supportive community for you. I love this from Rena, says, I have more energy, I'm more productive and way nicer to my children. So again, the benefits that it has on our moods can be really helpful. And she shares all of these small changes have made a big impact on me and my family. And so I can't emphasize enough, these small changes, like these little things that I've shared, or changing how and when you're eating can really make a big difference. Exercise as well makes your body more insulin to sensitive, and you do not do extreme. Actually, for you guys, I do not recommend extreme exercise. Your body's already dealing with inflammation. We want your workouts to really be something that flushes excess cortisol, doesn't raise it, and so do not underestimate the power of just 10 minutes. Even in my program, sometimes I have these quick 10-minute mood-boosting workouts because you can literally change your whole physiology and how you feel in your moods and emotions in 10 minutes. Actually, research shows 5, but 10 minutes to really be able to feel good. And so I want you to associate your workouts with how much better, again, they make you feel. Don't do extreme exercise, moderate exercise, and consistency. So again, they can be short, 10, 20 minutes. Combine cardio and strength training is what you want to combine both of those. And also, don't underestimate walking as one of the most hormone balancing things you can do, especially after you eat. So you have a meal, go for a quick walk around the block. Just get out and move after you eat. What that does is it takes the glucose from your bloodstream that's circulating around and will move it into your muscles as muscle glycogen to be used as energy. And so you can, it's very simple, and I love it, it's free. And then supportive supplements I want to mention really quick. Many common deficiencies, specifically for acromegalia, but it's not just for this. Every single one of my clients that I see are actually, everybody's deficient in this. Is vitamin D, B12, and B6, and these are actually the very same vitamins that I use for helping many of my clients. The research on vitamin D is incredible. So I love this image from the Journal of Neurochemistry because it gives us a visual of just how powerful one thing like vitamin D is. If you do one thing that you come away with today, please take a quality vitamin D supplement because you can see how much it impacts dopamine synthesis and release. But more than that, research, this is interesting too, research has even said that it can reduce like getting the flu by like 75%, and even with, they found the research evidence with people having less COVID and less COVID symptoms by vitamin D. Vitamin D is necessary for calcium to get absorbed in your body, and so you need it to prevent osteoporosis, or if you're dealing, I know bone problems can be a big problem, so you need it for that. Most people, again, this is another thing 80% of people are deficient in. Everything is linked to it. Obesity is linked to obesity has low vitamin D, MS, low vitamin D. Many serious health problems are all linked to having low vitamin D because you get vitamin D through like sardines and cod liver oil, and many times we're not eating those types of foods enough. Grass-fed butter, you get it through the sun, your skin makes it, but a lot of times we're wearing sunglasses and we are trying to avoid, getting, we're covered up, not enough sun exposure. And so one thing that you want to be able to do is, this is one supplement that I do recommend that everybody take, and also get your labs tested. Because it plays such a vital role in immune function and cancer prevention, as well as moods and emotion and sleep. So, vitamin D there's receptors all over your body, which is, again, where you can fill in one deficiency and experience, oh my gosh, better moods. It'll help stabilize your blood sugar. It's very important for fertility, reducing miscarriages. It's really vital to so many areas of your body functioning optimally. So this is one, especially specifically for moods and sleep, that you want to be able to get in. Low B vitamins are also essential. They are really good. This is my favorite vitamin, honestly, to be able to this Pure Encapsulations B Complex Plus, getting in B vitamins, many times stress depletes certain nutrients like magnesium and B vitamins. So we want to be intentional about, one, getting them through food, but many times we just don't. We're not getting them enough through our food. And B vitamins also can be hard to, if you're dealing with low stomach acid, which is very common. As you get older, over 50, you also have a harder time with getting adequate B vitamins, and this is life-changing. This is so important for your neurological function. B6 is it's important for serotonin and dopamine. So this is one way that you can really help with moods to feel better. Reduce anxiety. This is it's a stabilize moods and energy. And memory. Oh my gosh, one of my clients was like, I'm really scared, because she was young, and she was like, I think I have Alzheimer's. I can't remember anything. And it's incredible to see how it just totally brought back her memory. Her memory improved, her cognitive function improved so much by being able to supplement with adequate, with a quality B complex. And I say quality because many times people are getting their vitamins from Costco, but it's like, the wrong form. You want methylcobalamin for vitamin D, you want P5P for P6. You want to be taking things that are actually going to work. Now, supportive supplements that I do recommend I use Metabolic Synergy and Berberine Synergy for my clients that have diabetes, and also any insulin resistant, actually. Metabolic Synergy has like chromium, so it's good for cravings also, and the Berberine Synergy also has the alpha lipoic acid. So these work very similar to just helping your blood sugar be managed, and they also work like a vasodilator. So I know that if you're dealing with high blood pressure and also high cholesterol. So I actually put a lot of my when dealing with high cholesterol, berberine will lower cholesterol, but I want you to understand it's a vasodilator, so it can drop your blood pressure, which many times you actually probably need. Magnesium is another key nutrient to be able to get in that's also will really benefit sleep and regulating your blood sugar. Omega-3, we're oftentimes lacking, and omega-3 is really vital for your joints if you're experiencing a lot of pain, and it's good for mood regulation. Inflammatone is something that works like an NSAID. So if you're having to take Advil or pain relievers all the time, that can be linked to like, other problems, right? Oh my gosh, I had one client that did an ultrasound and they like found all of her like Advil, like, oh, it's so bad. So sometimes those can cause other problems, but inflammatone actually works like an NSAID, but it has something curcumin in it that's very powerful. And resveratrol in it that can be really helpful for reducing inflammation in the body. Inflammation is linked to insulin resistance. Insulin resistance is linked to inflammation. So we want to address the inflammation in your body. Vitamin C is essential as well. Vitamin C reduces cortisol levels. Raised cortisol, again, raises insulin levels. So vitamin C is essential for many functions in the body, but definitely when you're trying to get your cortisol levels under control, vitamin C is very essential, and a B and D. Really quickly, I think I don't want to go over my time, Jill. Can I? I'm good. Okay, so curcumin, so much research on curcumin. Curcumin is just what's found in turmeric, but I find that it's hard. It stains your teeth, it stains the blender, it just stains everything. It's hard to get in, and so I recommend supplementing with the inflammatone, or I use something called curcumin Avail that you're getting more of a therapeutic dose of it. And do you guys know what mTOR is? It's another thing that's really important. Well, here's why it works. What happens with like insulin, for example, is insulin causes, like I mentioned, or just glucose in general, causes like your cells, cancer cells to grow, right? Cancer feeds off of that. So you want something called mTOR, which you want to inhibit mTOR is what you want, because mTOR causes cell proliferation, so your cancer cells to keep multiplying. And so you want to cut that off. And one thing that helps with that is curcumin. And B6 that I mentioned in the B supplement, and also coffee. Coffee's good too. B6, but so curcumin though has there's lots of research studies on the benefits of curcumin. And what I love this study that I wanted to share from the Society of Endocrinology is that they did a study where it helped with hormone suppressing actions for pituitary tumor cells. And so you can use this combined with your medication for further benefits, and it's extremely powerful for helping if you're dealing with high cholesterol, high blood pressure, all of that. Inflammation, tumor, think like anti-tumor, turmeric, anti-tumor, and curcumin is the compound. Okay, so lab work. You want to take ownership of your health. Get your own lab work. Do not just say your doctor's fine. I have had many clients that are like, they said they're fine, but I'm like, you're not fine, you're pre-diabetic. So look at your numbers. So insulin, I don't also see, maybe you guys do, but I don't really see doctors testing insulin levels. You want it to be 6 or lower, fasting glucose 70 to 86, your lipids, your triglycerides, those are like circulating sugar in your blood. So pay attention to your triglyceride levels. Hemoglobin A1C, is your blood sugar over a period of 2 or 3 months. So you want it to be less than 5.3. C-reactive protein and homocysteine, that's like stress and that's inflammation in your body. Get it tested. These are the numbers that you want to have. The numbers that I go off of are more optimal health, not just reference ranges, but optimal to feel good. Vitamin D, 60 to 80. If you are 30 or lower, then you want to dose high, like 10,000 for vitamin D until you get it up to at least 60. And this is where you want to test to kind of know how to adjust how much your body needs. B12, you also want this to be high. The reference range normally is like 400. They'll say you're fine, but many times you're not. You'll still feel tired and just all the other symptoms. You want to be on the upper end of B12. I like to keep it at least 900 to 1,000. For B12. Okay, next I want to talk really quickly about buffering and on-off behavior, this derailed train. You're super motivated, I'm gonna do this, and then anybody, like something happens, right? You just get derailed. You get sick, something, whatever, bad news, something happens, life just happens. And so we do something called buffering, which is where we'll pull our attention away from something uncomfortable emotions that we don't want to feel. So I know Catherine talked about coping, but we're just trying to buffer those feelings, and your brain is always gonna choose to not feel uncomfortable. But if we are aware of it, we can override it. And so this is what I want you to do. Again, and addresses the gentleman's question about just dealing with depression and things. Well, our emotions can lead, if we're trying to not feel depressed, we don't want to feel anxious, we don't want to feel these uncomfortable feelings of loneliness or whatever it may be, well, we're going to try to buffer that with, maybe it's overeating, it's over snacking, it's over drinking, over scrolling, over anything, right? But really, we just feel overwhelmed. Maybe you feel restless or bored. You want to distract yourself from having to do whatever long to-do list, or pain and anxiety. So no judgment. Don't this is a biological, physiological reaction that your body has. You know what? There's a reason why you want carbs when you feel anxious. They boost serotonin. They make you feel calm. There's a reason why you want to eat. Eating and moving your mouth actually can help you feel calm. You know, that's why chewing gum could be a good alternative, because the chewing motion can create a calming effect in your body. So don't ever, this never comes from a place of ever judging or shame. I want you to come from a place of curiosity. What do you need to buffer from? Because listen, many times we don't buffer. We're not turning to food when we feel calm, content, rested, we feel happy. We don't need to buffer anything and to use food to cope. But when we don't feel that way and we just need to feel better, food can, be a quick fix. So what I want you to do is I want you to write this down on your paper in front of you. I'll try to run through this really quick. What are your emotions? Just write it down. What are your emotions? Now, or generally, if it's I totally notice every time I feel overwhelmed, that's when I want to eat, or whatever it is. What are your emotions? Put a name to it, identify it. And then number 2, what do you get from your buffering behavior? If you are eating because you are feeling sad, you're feeling depressed, and so you're eating, well, what are you getting from that? You're getting something from that behavior. When you know what you're getting from turning to food, and this is where you're just separating the emotional eating component, and why I want to cover this is because it doesn't matter if we know we need to eat, everybody knows we need to eat healthy, we need to eat vegetables. But it's hard when, emotional eating is a big obstacle, to being able to do some of those things. And so you want to know, what do you really need? And I want to help you get your needs met. And many times food doesn't meet our needs. Maybe initially it's helping you feel better initially, but then it can make us feel worse. And so it's not taking away the anxiety. And so what are you getting? Are you trying to escape from something? Are you trying to avoid something? Write these things down. Figure out why you are doing it and what is in it for you, because you're getting something from that. One of my clients was just she never realized I wanted rest. And when I was eating, you know what? It gave me a break. I got rest. And when she realized that, because she didn't give herself permission to rest, then it changed everything. Because it's oh my gosh, I'm just gonna go sit in my backyard and read a book for 5 minutes. I actually don't need an excuse to eat to find rest. I actually am giving myself permission to rest. I need to rest and then get back. So what are you getting? What do you need? A break, calm, comfort. One thing you can think about is, what is the thought you have right before you grab something to eat? So, write those things down, because you can just then, oh my gosh, yeah, I actually am feeling anxious, and stressed out, so I want to eat to numb those feelings. But I want you to know, but if I go outside, just 20 minutes outside decreases your cortisol level. And if you go for a walk, you can kind of also feel more calm. And so it's I've really helped, to be able to, find a different way to get what you're getting with that. But I think I wanted to talk about these, but I think that's probably, go for it. I think we're done. Go for it. Go for it. Yeah, somatostatin. Okay, so somatostatin inhibits growth hormone. You already know this. So we already know we have the help. Thankfully I just love the research that they're doing, and companies like Acromegalia that are just working hard on finding too like better pharmaceutical drugs to help you guys is absolutely I love seeing that. I love hearing that, and I want to share what you can do naturally to really, because we know they're using somatostatin inhibits growth hormone. So here's something, I love this from Acromegalia Support. I think is a good image, again, of showing the dopamine and somatostatin that block the release of growth hormone. So how do you do that? This is how you do it. Glucose, amino acids, again, so just eating protein, and ketone bodies. So let's talk about that. How about the fasting stuff? To not wreck your hormones and your metabolism. What I recommend doing is fast at night. It's easy, right? You're sleeping, hopefully. Maybe if you're sleeping. Hopefully you'll sleep better after the sleep guidebook, and balancing your blood sugar. But you want to fast at night and 12 hours. So the 8 app will keep track of it if you use the 8 app, because I know it's hard changing some of these things and connecting. So the 8 app can help transition. It'll tell you your fasting time on there so you'll know, but at least fast for 12 hours every single night. And at night it makes it easier. And then in between meals. So that way you're, is when you want to give it a break. Wait till you feel physically hungry. And again, also CCK that I talked about, when you eat fat and protein, it's going to signal CCK. Well, that really is going to help also with this somatostatin. And another thing about sleep, you guys know, like when you're sleeping, your blood sugar is actually like rising. And if you don't get enough sleep, you know what's going to happen? It's going to be high when you wake up. But if we can get your sleep dialed in, at least an improvement, then what happens is your blood sugar rises at night, and then what happens? Somatostatin kicks in naturally when you get enough sleep. And so then you're going to wake up and your blood sugar will not be as high. So this is why it's important. It may sound so silly, like these simple things, but let's just do everything we can do to improve your sleep. I share my favorite yogi bedtime tea that works and all kinds of stuff. Let's just do it all. Okay, next is we know high glucose concentrations. Again, insulin stimulates somatostatin secretion. So this is where it's, you just, again, want to be very mindful about how, what, and why you're eating. So what I'm trying to get you to do is override. So I don't know if this is a bad example. Not a bad example. No, just like, so I have a friend who just donated a kidney. She's like amazing. And then what happens is your other kidney starts to take over. This is what I'm trying to explain and trying to say, okay, well, if your pituitary gland is not functioning with producing and working with some of these hormones, then let's override it and let's depend more heavily and get these other organs and glands and systems in your body to help you. So if you're really hungry, well, let's use your gut with ghrelin, having enough fiber, with eating fat and protein to have CCK. Adequate sleep, again, is important. Exercise, decreasing inflammation. Again, this is a good benefit for the omega-3, the curcumin, anti-inflammatory fruits, vegetables, think colorful. Avoid refined carbohydrates. Eating foods like broccoli, cauliflower, salmon, all of these foods have key nutrients like choline and vitamin D in them. Now, dopamine, I love talking about dopamine because dopamine, well, it's important for you guys because dopamine suppresses growth hormone hypersecretion in some patients, it says. But I want everybody to have optimal dopamine levels because this is what you feel like when your dopamine's low. You don't have enthusiasm. You don't enjoy life. Life is not enjoyable. And you have insomnia, tired, depressed, moody, anxious, can't concentrate, stiffness, trouble just moving around, low sex drive. I mean, we don't want this. So you can eat to increase dopamine. And again, protein has amino acids to do that. L-tyrosine specifically is a protein needed to make dopamine. So think, almonds would be a great snack. Add avocado to your salad, bananas, chicken, eggs, turmeric, again, taking that inflammasome would be good, or curcumin supplement. Vitamin D, and also magnesium. So getting in those leafy greens are great foods to increase dopamine naturally. Also listening to music and meditation, oxytocin, like I showed with your hug with your heart, but also 6-second hugs, and also supplementation. Again, benefit for taking omega-3 supplement. Another plug for vitamin D benefit, again, for the dopamine, and also magnesium and vitamin C are great for dopamine. So we can really stay confused or follow a roadmap. My plane was landing, and the pilot was like, and now we're landing in Charlotte. And I was like, did I get on the wrong plane? Charlotte's next month. Did they fly to the wrong destination? Or did I get on the wrong plane? Is it them? Is it me? Like, I don't want you to stay confused, like, of, doing something that's not working for your body and gonna lead you down to a destination that you're not supposed to be at. He just made a mistake. And what he said. Or you can follow what we know works, this proven roadmap to be able to help you to, okay, let's start with the basics. How can I balance my blood sugar? Start by adding some lemon to your water before you eat, just small things. But I do understand this, that a loss of a favorite meal, right? So maybe this is hard to do because, well, we have our favorite foods, right? And their association with food. I know it can be hard. I just want to encourage you that change is not easy. I know it's not easy, but I love that you're here and you're ready to grow. So acknowledge that, yeah, making change is hard. I know I'm saying it's easy. Oh, just do this. Just add in your leafy greens every day. But I do understand it takes more effort to eat real whole healthy foods, and it can be hard to make those changes. So I want you to focus on what you're gaining. You're gaining more productivity, improved relationships, improved energy. Focusing on what you're gaining can make a really big difference, and not fearing disappointment. So I would love to answer any questions. Yeah, okay, good.
I have a quick question. You were talking earlier about testosterone and estrogen levels. I have no pituitary. Back in '81, they just took the whole pituitary and not just the tumor itself. And so I am taking my hormones orally, but I still have not gotten the proper explanation as to how everything's functioning without a pituitary. Have you dealt with this with any of your clients, and if so, what particular tests? Because I still think my estrogen levels are higher than what they should be.
Great question. So no, I have not dealt with a client with no, actually a partial. I have a client that they removed half. So she still does have like half of her pituitary gland. But what I do know is, or what I do recommend is getting your hormones tested, looking at estradiol, looking at what your testosterone level is, even if you're supplementing with it, to know what it is. One thing that's important to know too is that glucose, there's this research study that they did with men that drank Gatorade, and like just the sugar from the Gatorade actually lowered their testosterone levels. So again, another plug for why you want to be very careful about the amount of sugar that you're eating.
All right, I have a question from Katie online. She's curious about your thoughts surrounding following your plan but sticking with plant-based whole foods. Personally, I've found that I feel better when I avoid animal proteins, but I do make sure every meal contains a wet starch, fat, protein, and lots of veggies.
That's a really great question. So, I want everybody to eat a plant-based diet. That's a given. We need vegetables, eat plants, eat plants, like live food that grows. So I want everybody to eat a plant-based diet, and everybody's going to feel better hands down when you eat a plant-based diet. But where she's avoiding meat, my caution would be, my recommendations would be you need to combine to make a complete amino acid. So you're not getting, if you're just eating beans, you're not getting all of the amino acids that your body needs. So you have to combine rice and beans together to get it. But what's gonna happen when you do that is you're gonna raise your blood sugar. You have more, it's gonna raise the carb content compared to the fat and protein. So this is where you'd wanna rely a little bit more heavily on probably doing something like a pea protein shake, some type of plant-based protein protein powder to add in. Many plant-based sources too aren't as bioavailable, but you can still do it. You just have to be very intentional and check your labs as well. And more intentional, like many people with vegans and vegetarians are very low in vitamin D because you're missing that as well. So many B vitamins, you just want to check your labs to make sure that you're being smart about it. And also many times when you're vegan and vegetarian, you just need to get that additional supplementation like I mentioned with the B vitamins.
I have a quick question. Great presentation, thank you. I'm wondering if, as a nutritionist, you deal with or you think about endocrine disrupting chemicals, like the food comes wrapped in and processed, and that is so important to people with endocrine issues.
Absolutely. Thank you for saying that. And actually, when you guys have access, so here's my website, and then when you go in, there's a whole detox module that I have, and I will share like my favorite cleaning supplies, all of that. Toxins are absolutely endocrine disruptors. Like I mentioned, xenoestrogens blocking the receptor for estrogen, and so that's a major problem. I have had women be able to fix their imbalances by simply getting rid of the plastic, and even my own personal experience actually by switching more to glass. And the bottom line is they absolutely are impacting your endocrine system, and it's extremely important that we remove these toxins that are endocrine disruptors. I'm a really big fan of the Environmental Working Group, and they have the Skin Deep is the database. You can look up your beauty products, your skincare to look for some of those. You want to avoid those at all cost. Yes, and be very familiar with that.
Thanks so much. I would also mention that the Berkeley Wellness newsletter has amazing work on endocrine disruptors as a resource.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, and I
Yeah,
do encourage you to be very aware of what those endocrine disruptors are. Because they're very powerful. I mean, you guys know, if you guys, I mean, some medications, you literally just put a drop on here and it like totally changes, much less, so what you're saying.
So I have one hopefully quick question, but you had gone over all the supportive supplements and, you know, their purposes and how they can help you. Do you know if any of those that you listed have drug interactions? Yes. So, yes and no. You always want to be very cautious with what you're taking because many of those, you know, supplements can work just like they work to change what's happening in your body. And so if you're already taking, let's say, something to lower your cholesterol levels, and then you're taking something else, you know, like berberine that's going to lower your cholesterol levels, well, you're at risk then for cognitive decline and other problems. And so I always check based on the medication, what you're taking. And this is where it's beneficial to work with somebody. You know, I'm happy to work with anybody and where you can be able to work with somebody that is familiar with what drugs, interactions, and what supplements and medications you can take. Some complement, and then some, yes, you don't take together. Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.